All right. Hey, Helene, what's up? What's going on, Miss Galek?
Yes, I know. It's so good to see you, even on screen, because I feel like I just see you in emails and Facebook. So this is great. This is great.
Yeah. The only way we really communicate because of distance is the internet. We just
Yes,
the
yes,
face of the book, and but we know each other from the industry itself, the film
yes.
industry and everything. So, but didn't we connect through Gabby Faye? Was that the original connection?
Funny
Or
because I know her
yeah.
because we work in the same business coaching program. I just remember during COVID, we had started, or I was in a little writing group with you just for a
Hmm.
while, and you provided the perfect ending to my first play I wrote. So
Excellent.
I will always be grateful for that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was when I was in Brooklyn. I had a lot of fun with that because
Yeah.
it reminded me that like sometimes, because like I didn't join that group or create that group to help my writing per se, but I like talking about writing. I like,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just sort of that I know and I care about were showing up, and I was like, all right, this is good. I get to interact with people, and that's important. But it reminded me that I love teaching because I
Mhm.
remember those classes kind of leaned into more of instructional, than it did like what are you working on? Like it was like less that and it was more like talking about dialogue. It was talking about motivations and character positions and stuff. So uh, it almost sparked me into where I am today. If that makes
Well,
sense.
it definitely sparked me. And I always tell other people this who are not in the business that during COVID, um, our community really just rose. Like,
Mhm.
someone like you, let's start a group, let's just get things going. So many casting directors and acting teachers and actors, they either provided free classes or very, very low cost ones. And so I felt like we were going through it together
Yeah.
as opposed to feeling isolated. In fact, at
Hmm.
one point, I go, I had to stop myself from signing up for too many Zoom classes. Exhausted. I was supposed to read all these books and watch all these
Yeah.
movies, but and I've always been grateful for that. Even some were very spiritual, and other things that we really came together as a community.
Yeah, and I think people would have went crazy though, like during COVID, if we didn't.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can make fun of Zoom and the internet all you want, but that was like a lifeline at that
Yeah.
point. So yeah.
And it was nice seeing that people were just doing it and not necessarily being like for $50. Like they were just like, let's get together, let's just have, because we needed human connection. We needed to,
Yes. Yes.
see other people. The mirror can only do so much for you, or you're just like, I'm looking at my face again today. you
No,
know,
it's true. Yeah. In fact, another something else I started writing. I got into a writing group, but actually the casting directors, even the big ones, they weren't working. So some of them, for fun, would say, "Okay, film a 30-second tape. The world is about to end in like 5 minutes, or somebody just invaded your house." They would come up with something, and even if you didn't win the contest, it was just so much fun to do. And one of them especially gave us an opening line and said, "Okay, write a 60-second monologue," which I did, which got into a special night where I was with all these other published playwrights,
yeah.
and it got turned into a short story, and I presented that. And so I got to meet her on a Zoom, and just like I'm talking to you now, and I said, I said to her, I said, because of you, because of what you put out, I was able to write and make,
Yeah.
all these presentations out of it.
And that's a wonderful feeling too, because like to be inspired by anything is great, but to be inspired by other people who are so giving and like,
Yes.
it, it's almost like you want to do the thing now because it shows the love that went from them to you, and now you get to share it with other people, and it becomes something more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
And then I get to tell, and you also get to tell those people like you and her that spending, and I have this thing where I say sometimes you spend that extra moment talking to somebody, or even just making an off the shoulder comment like, "Oh my god, I loved your piece," or "You look great today," or "You did this," and that how that affects you, and it can stay with you, and
yeah.
the difference, just a minute of your time.
Do you ever, when you're working on these things, when do you say to yourself, this is no longer something I wrote, it's something that is saying something?
I think when I see it being done by other people.
Oh, the performance, like when they start.
Well, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. I was always writing as a child. Acting was always first, but I always wrote. I wrote stories. I wrote poetry. I wrote promotional newsletters in my businesses. In fact, I make a joke that I got through English Lit in college, barely reading the books, but being enough of a good writer.
Yeah.
And I got a B- from barely doing work. But and people would say, well, why don't you write your own show? Why don't you write a play? And I go, oh no, I don't do dialogue. I don't do. I kept saying that, and I just had my third play done at the Chain. So yeah,
fantastic.
Never say never. And I think so. Anyway, when it comes to plays, which is still new, I've done 3. The first one that you helped me with, Dinner Date, I actually want to turn into a short film.
And well, you should,
because of the reveal. But anyway, after I wrote it and then I saw it performed, and I think people were coming to me and telling me sometimes what they got out of it, which it wasn't even like a real conscious thought about it.
Yeah.
So when you write a story and they go, yeah, I noticed when you did this, and then get this, and good for you. So that I love that.
Now, because you write screen, basically plays and more dialogue friendly stuff, do you ever see a performance and think to yourself, maybe I should change what I wrote? Like there's something about that performance that is making me see these characters in a different way that was there, but I wasn't leaning into it. And then you go and do rewrites.
Well, I had to do that actually in the beginning because a couple of the plays that I did get produced started out as writing assignments in a writing group. So I did have to flesh them out. Sometimes because I had different actors, I had to tailor the writing around that. I've been lucky. The last 2 plays I did with the Chain, I had the same director who was also a writer. So he would guide me into what areas need to be fleshed out, where the joke should be sometimes. So I was very fortunate with that.
Now, yeah, that's always a good thing too. If you have strong performers and you're like, you want to capture their essence and you're like, I think I need to put their voice into that. But if people are even seeing the scroll on the bottom, it says that you worked with Maya Angelou. You collaborated with her. How did that experience influence your writing style?
Well, I worked with her actually as an actor. She wrote it. She wrote the play. Do you know who did the music? He just died, Lalo Schifrin. She wrote the lyric. The lyrics were based on her poetry. Poems. I used to always write poetry. Yeah. And I was an actor. It was a musical. And I mean, it was amazing because I had read her book in high school and was so affected by it. And to think, so it took a while before I saw her as a real person and not like, wow, I'm working with, and that happens, sometimes you're with big people and then you get to know them. You're like, okay, now they're,
oh, they also eat beans. Okay. We're the same.
Yes. I think I was more influenced with writing. It's funny because I'm still working on my first book. Oh, yeah. That's the hard part. See, the smaller pieces, I've done monologues, I've done plays, I've done poetry, I've done essays. I had an essay published a couple years ago that actually another publication read it and they went, well, we'd like you to rewrite it for our publication. And I do want to do it. It has to do with the self-shaming of aging. Not the shaming that society does to us,
but our own attack.
We do, yes, and how that can get. So I will still work on that. That's on the real back burner. I've got a big stove, so that's in the back. But I have a joke. When I was little, I would start writing books. I'd never get past the 3rd chapter. And the one I'm writing, really, it's for a very small audience. It's a passion project, but I really want to finish it this year.
Now, when you say it's for a small audience, there's a height requirement. Is that what you're?
That's it. Only people under 4 feet.
I can't relate. They can see over the counter. What's going on?
No, it has to do with a cult TV show. So the people who would probably enjoy it most are the ones who are followers or my friends who want to help out and buy
Yeah.
the book. You know?
Let's be honest, actors are in a cult. Yeah.
There we are. Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's like being in, for anyone who doesn't know, if you're in theater, even in high school, it's its own world. It's,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you know, and then as you become an adult, that is its own world also. It's not, it is I say cult, but I'm obviously,
No, I know what you're saying, you know,
Yeah.
in a good way. Well, you know, they have that, sometimes they have that prompt, without telling us what you do, you know, describe what you do. And then, you know, with an actor, I always say I get paid for pretending I'm other people. You know? That's what it is.
That's funny. I tell people I get paid to say the lines they want to hear me say because they don't like what I talk about. So, you know.
Funny. I like that. That's great. And the funny thing is, as an actor, I always give applause and credence to the writer, because I know that when the writing is good, whether it's film or a play, that makes my job easy. You know, so even when I'm getting complimented about my work, I sometimes will go, I just open my mouth and I believe what I'm saying because it's so good. So yeah, I bow down to the writers.
Well, what there's it might have been I can't remember his name, but he's from Shameless, I believe, where he goes oh no, it's Bryan Cranston. He says it's not our job to be funny. It's the writer's job to be funny, and then it's, you know, it's our performance. But I actually want to ask a question about, because you're an actor, but you're also a writer, and what is it about how you approach other people's screenplays to perform that influences the way you write?
These are such great questions, and I don't know how much thought I've given to them. But no, okay, no, that let me correct that. I am impressed with people who know how to tell a good story. I'm a lover. I love horror, but I love thriller. In fact, I just wrote a fan letter to a writer of this perfect thriller movie. It was 15 years ago, and it had, you know, it had the beginning, arc, and end, but it kept fooling me every time. I kept going, "Oh, this is going to happen," and it didn't. It twisted, and then this is gonna, nope, it twisted. It kept twisting and twisting, and then it had a button on the end. And I watched it a couple times, and I thought, I am so in awe of this writing. One thing, you know, it's funny, as an actor, sometimes I've been in writing. I am in writing groups, but I've been in them where I sometimes tell new writers, you don't have to write every single thing out. The actor will portray it. It's the way we say it. Like, somebody I was playing a character, they were describing their husband, and I said, you don't even have to do that. All I have to go is, yeah, it's Leonard. Leonard is, you know, like, we find ways. But the funny thing is, when I do start writing, I have to catch myself. I caught myself overwriting stuff, and I went, oh God, I'm doing the same thing. You know?
Yeah, and on a first draft, there's nothing wrong with that, because you want to know what it is, the context that you can turn into subtext. But, you know, if it's the final, you're like, I think it's done, and you're like, why does every character have a monologue?
Yeah.
You know?
I know. Yeah, I caught myself writing like a lot of like complex sentences, and I remember kind of like complaining when I did a play. I'm like, oh my God, she's running these 3 sentences together. And then I saw myself doing it. So I even told the actor, who did it perfectly, but I said, look, if you want to break it down a little bit, you know, go ahead. And I went, oh, you see, it's just funny when you do step in the other person's shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you another way to look at it. And Marlon Brando is actually quite famous for being like, I'm gonna just say 3 words here, and, you know, taking a monologue and be like, I just need 3 words and behavior. But I think acting, or any performance, really is a medium where you benefit from the physical, you benefit from another element of expression. Whereas with writing, even screenplays, it's just on the page. So in our minds as writers, we're like, well, I hope it conveys. So maybe I have to put so much more on the page. And then you realize maybe I don't.
Right. Yeah.
Even with clients, when I'm dealing with, when I'm working with clients and they're writing just long form narrative. And I'm like, your dialogue sounds mechanical because it's jargon. It's not like a conversation. It's like they are explaining something, but they aren't explaining something. They're in a conversation that is not like, they're not a teacher, they're not a scientist, they're not anything, but their dialogue is coming off as jargon. And you have to realize as a writer, oh wait, people don't talk in jargon.
Mm-hmm.
We talk in idioms, we talk in loose dialogue, we talk in like I'm doing. It's not a complete, we're breaking it up. We have to find our words, and sometimes we can't. But again, it's also positions. Actors they find the position on the page, they go, what is their belief, what do they care about, and then they have to perform with that belief. Whereas in writing, if you can create that belief on the page, then their dialogue carries that. And that's what makes strong long form narrative dialogue,
but it's true, you have, especially with screenplays, because you're going to have, in a screenplay, you have the background, you've got the different scenes, and sometimes you don't even have to have much dialogue. It's gonna, but it has to be important dialogue. So I'm still learning that, because if I'm gonna have to switch. Well, the play that I wrote that you had helped me, that was done on Zoom. That's what actually told me the reveal at the end is not going to work on stage.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to have to do some rewrites, because I'm going to do that. And I think that's the challenge. I mean, that's the challenge of anybody who does a great screenplay, not to have to explain everything, or not to the whole thing, they say too much exposition, but have it character driven. Yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah, character driven is like, well, I wrote a play once. It was basically 90 minutes long, and we played it in a theater, and the same people just kept coming back to see the play, and they kept crying, and they kept, and then it got on the news and everything and stuff like that. But the play feels like it's not doing anything. It's just these two characters. I shouldn't say just, but it is two characters. That's it. And they're in a room, and they're talking. And there's this evolution of who are these people. We learn who they are. We learn where they came from. And, it's an old character and a young character. And so many people were like, it was me there, or I was watching my parents, or I was, whatever the case may be. And somebody might read that script and goes, it's just dialogue back and forth. And that's the hard thing about a screenplay or a script, or it's just dialogue back and forth. And that's a hard part about writing, I think, is to be like, how can you convey such human truth with dialogue? And I think that helps with long form narrative too, is because you can kind of translate that into, oh wait, I just spent 10 years of my life writing screenplays. I know how to write dialogue now. And then let me put it into long form narrative, and you're like, oh, okay. Because you got to say a lot with a little,
Well, I was going to say, what you did though, but you wrote something that obviously spoke to people. Mm-hmm. But again, I mean, I'm thinking it's different if you're writing a book, although you do want your audience to respond to it. But I think when you're doing film, TV, theater, it is collaborative. It isn't just the words. So I think that's where you're getting the experience. But you could have written something, you can write something so simple, or even sometimes somebody writes a poem and you go, oh my God, it just said something I'm feeling. And I think I think if you're true to yourself, you're going to find somebody who's going to feel that same way.
Yeah. And also, Dame Judi Dench reading Green Eggs and Ham is going to hit harder. And some random person be like, Sam, I am. In the green, I ate green eggs and ham.
I do not like green eggs and ham. Well, everything sounds better in British accent.
That's what I say.
So there it is. But I also was going to say, look at songs, look at song lyrics. I mean, as from an actor, when we do musical theater, And this, I think, can apply to a lot of music. The reason in a musical that you sing, because the feeling is so great, it has to come out in song. And how many times people have heard like a Beatles song or something else, or just something that's so, or Simon and Garfunkel, Jim Morrison, and go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I am so responding. This is exactly what it is. So, the words are always very powerful. And the person who wrote it, because I remember there was a little video of, sadly, a stalker, years before John Lennon was assassinated by one, but someone came to his door and was, I don't even remember the song he mentioned. He goes, that was me. You were talking about me. And he's going on. And John said, well, no, I kind of wrote it for me. And that's not exactly what I felt, but it doesn't, for most of us, it doesn't matter what is in the writer's head. It's like how it makes you feel.
It's the empathy we have for it.
Right. Or just a connection, or just sometimes just reading something and I'm like in admiration.
Yeah.
Like, this is brilliant. I remember seeing, oh God, of course now I'm going to blank out on it. It was Charlie Kaufman's film rather. And I just remember that it was The Floor 13 and a Half. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's the John Malkovich. Being John
Malkovich. Okay, I wasn't even writing like plays, and I just would watch it and go, okay, I'm not even close to the writer, and I'm not that I'm jealous, but I'm like, I was watching it with my mouth dropped open. It was such an incredible. So sometimes, I feel like that too, where I'm just in pure admiration.
Yeah. And you were mentioning musical too. The musical has multiple levels. It has physical performance. Yes. It has the words, and it's sing once again with me. And it's like
nice
that is.
Thank
you. But that is like another layer to the performance. So it's interesting to see. It's funny. I've been listening to audiobooks, like older books that I read when I was a child. And I'm sort of like, I wanted to kind of revisit them. And just for the record, writing has changed drastically from the 90s.
Yeah.
Drastically. But it's interesting hearing somebody read it, and the way they read it isn't necessarily, I wouldn't say, like, we deal with actors, or, like, we know actors that, you could read the instruction booklet, and you'd be like, that was amazing. But sometimes you have these people reading the books, and they're just like, he walked into the building, and there he sat on the floor. And you're just like, something happened. Please put something into it, or the way they read their dialogue, like, I don't want to deal with you. And you're just like, what is going on? Like, so it makes it difficult. And that's I'm just trying to relate back to the thing where it's like performance can take words that were successful and just destroy them, defeat them.
Yes.
So it's
well, it's because also I'm a casting director, so I've had actors audition with Neil Simon and they were not funny. And I've done Neil Simon. I love him. He would set up. A lot of his work's not being done now. I think he got a little outdated. They're a little too topical. But when it came to setting up jokes, setting up the action, setting up, I know because I had to learn 2 of his plays. I was in summer stock. We only had like 4 days to put on the play, and then I realized, oh my God, just from his dialogue. Talk about dialogue.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what the character looked like. I knew what she would wear. I didn't have to worry where the jokes, I just had to say it and I had to mean it. And that's another interesting thing, that a lot of times actors don't know comedy, and it's got to even be more intense than Eugene O'Neill.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also, like, sometimes, you're talking about Neil Simon, but even like Tennessee Williams, like stuff like that, you can't really do today. But like Shakespeare, people think you need to perform Shakespeare. And like you were just saying, the words are there. It's like 2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge to new mutiny, right? Like, I don't need to sit there and go, 2 households, both alike. It's like you don't have like it's Shakespeare. Like just
Mhm.
get the poetry out, you know. And
Yes.
it's I was talking to someone actually probably like a month ago about Dame Judi Dench and how every time she's ever been filmed performing Shakespeare, she just reads it straight. And like she doesn't really put anything into it. And like, no, there's something there, but she is not performing.
Hmm.
She's reciting through emotion and not necessarily finding a performance. And I think that's what makes some Shakespeare
It's true.
profoundly more advanced.
Yeah, it's
the, the,
totally true.
you
Yes.
know, but do you think if Shakespeare didn't exist, right?
Yes.
Okay, but then someone who is Shakespeare was around today, do you think people would even look at his work?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like Lord of the Rings today couldn't be published. They'd be like, you got to do some editing, right? But it is the grandfather of epic fantasy. So like I wonder.
It'd be interesting. It depends who was reviewing. It probably would be like, oh, it's verbose, it's confusing, it's too long. Oh, it's fine. But you know what's so interesting? Because if you actually look at, I know that a lot of us, including myself, was always brought up to look at Shakespeare to revere it. And then as I got older, I've only done a little bit of it, but as I got older, when I learned more, that it was really for the common people. It wasn't for this literary society.
Oh yeah.
It was for the common people to sit in an open theater for a few hours because it wasn't like there was anything else to do when they were done with their work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the plots, and this, I don't mean this in any disrespect.
Yeah.
It really was in some of the plots, it was the Lifetime movie thriller plots.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the jealousy, the murder. My best friend told me something about my wife. Do I believe my wife or do I believe my best friend? You know? But I mean, when you boil it down to what it is, or just the power hungry, you know, if you know, I got to kill everybody who I think's going to threaten me.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
so
the stories.
they're just they're the basic stories that we watch today. It was just the language of their times.
Yeah.
And it was, when the light came on for me with that, I was like, wow, that is really amazing because nothing changes, just the language does and the clothing.
Yeah.
But
because it does feel like a soap opera, but you did say like, you know, they watch it for hours. And that's the thing. Like Hamlet is 4.5 hours, not because it's 4.5 hours of story. It's 4.5 hours because every 30 to 40 minutes, somebody has to come on stage and then reiterate everything that has happened because people wouldn't sit there for 4 hours. They would come in, they'd look, they go out, they eat like a cannoli, they come back in. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're like, "What's going on now?" And then someone would be like, "By the way, you know, you may have missed this, but let me tell you, Hamlet's, you know." So like, that's the other thing. Like, imagine reading Shakespeare having for the first time, knowing he didn't exist. You'd be like, "Why do you keep repeating everything that happened?" You know, like, no, it's genius. I assure you, it keeps the audience low. You know.
They didn't have and now for scenes from next week that they do on television. I remember when they started doing that when the recording devices came into play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when they could keep it, when it didn't have to be live. Exactly. But even back in the I would say 50s, 40s, maybe even 30s. You know, like Alfred Hitchcock and all them. You know, with their black and whites, they were just basically filming stage plays.
Yes, that's right. They did a lot of stage plays for those.
Yeah. But I mean, they also filmed it like a stage play. You know, it was usually like 1 or 2 locations, but even Rear Window, a fantastic film.
Oh my God. Well, that was really done like a play and it was on location.
Yep. Yeah. They just built one big
place or something in the village. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you got the tenseness and you got him. You know, he's kind of cooped up in this apartment with a broken leg, and you got the fact that it was hot, it was summer.
Yeah, but you get to watch all these different lives playing out.
Yes, because we all do that in New York. I always look out the window. What?
I know.
What are they doing?
And also, it was like you didn't always hear the dialogue of the people he watched, and yet it still made sense. Their body language, and that goes back to what you were saying originally. It's like, The dialogue technically was there because they are saying stuff, but we don't hear it. But it's their behavior, it's their movements, it's the emotion they put through that performance that does it. And you were saying you're writing a long form narrative, right?
Is that what that's known now as opposed to a book?
Well, yeah, because of, I wrote the book that's a self-help book. That's
I know
nonfiction, but you're writing long form creative narrative, right?
Yeah, it is. It's okay. It's part memoir from my life. I'm revisiting something from my teen years.
So was that 30 years ago, right?
Yeah, give or take. And I'm looking at. I mean, I can tell you, I was in the closet for a long time about this, but now I'm out of it. I don't know if you were one of those ones. I was one of those kids who ran home from school to watch Dark Shadows.
Who didn't?
There you go. And I didn't think about it for years. And then in the last decade, or especially when COVID came, I picked up, now it's streaming. And I was almost afraid to start watching it. Like, ooh, what if, I didn't want to ruin the memory. Like, what if today's eyes, it doesn't look good, it doesn't sound good. I was actually more impressed. And so I started looking at it again through the eyes of an adult and through the eyes of an actor and a casting director.
Yeah. And
that's what I'm writing about. I've met several of the cast members.
Oh, wow. From the remake or the black and white?
The original. Well,
oh, nice.
Well, the original started in black and white.
Oh, and then it turned to color. Yeah, that's right. Technicolor.
The Technicolor in the 60s. And what's interesting, so I started writing about, just right now I'm a little stuck because I have 3 different versions of the book and I don't know which one I'm going to. But I'll even look at things I'll look at the actors who only were on for a day or two, and giving applause to the writers and the actors that they were fully fleshed out characters.
Yeah. Now, are you writing it narratively, or are you writing it more like? Yeah. Oh, so it's like there's scenes, scenes are playing out and stuff like that, and dialogue and.
I'm not writing it I'm writing it more as a book. It's, as I said, like a memoir, like revisiting it and.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, is it okay?
Well, narratively would mean that there's scenes and dialogue and like there's moments. But what you're saying, if it's straight memoir, you're just reciting or recalling.
Right. Now I am quoting. I'll quote different.
Oh yeah.
Show or mention. What's really scary is that there's a couple characters who seem fantasy in the 60s, and now in our world they're real now.
Like the vampire. No.
Yeah, if only. That's less scary than some of the people are nowadays. But it's just it's interesting that. They never thought it would last, and that's the whole thing. It's eternal. So it's just something I've had a lot of thoughts about. So I've written in just how it affected me then, how it affects me now. And then basically to tie this up, what it goes back to is good storytelling.
Yeah.
And we're rooting for the characters. That's because I asked myself, why am I still stuck on something that, I was watching when I was a young teen? And I said, because first of all, it was new at that time, the occult, the passion, the romances, but it told a story that held us captivated. And we rooted for, I said, you either loved the characters or loved to hate there was, something, and you had, you rooted for them, and it brought up different emotions.
And because you have that connection to that part of your life and that show, when the Johnny Depp remake came out as a film, how did that affect you?
Okay, I have always said that I don't put down other artists or their work in a social media. so here's what I'll just say diplomatically, and it's not just that movie that I'm saying it about. At that time, there was a whole bunch of movies that were coming out appealing to the baby boomers' memories of certain TV shows. And most of them didn't work because they couldn't decide, are we paying homage to it? Are we spoofing it?
Yeah.
Are we
Bewitched?
Are we changing it so much that we should have just called it another name?
Yeah.
So I will just leave it like that.
That's a fair assessment. I I would almost, but I think it's also okay not to necessarily bash anything, but
Yeah.
you know, how did it affect you emotionally though? Like, what did it remind you of the things? Were there elements of the movie that reminded you of what you felt for the original? Whether
No, it didn't. I felt like I was just watching, it's like watching somebody's idea of it.
yeah,
And it just, as I said, it didn't quite work. And as I said, no, I love Tim Burton. I felt like it was going back and forth between trying to put comic in it, trying to spoof, trying to make a lot of the characters very different. And so it was kind of like I wanted to say, well, I don't understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it was like Beetlejuice, but with these characters.
Yeah, I thought it would be funnier because I also am a big Rocky Horror fan. Like, it would be funnier if a lot of the fans would help write it. There's certain jokes or things that happened in the show that were always repetitive. That would have been funny to put in. Well, the two movies that I felt worked from the baby boomer days was the Addams Family.
Oh yeah.
And the Brady Bunch.
Oh yeah.
Basically, they just took them and both of them are still weird in today's world, and they didn't have to touch anything.
Yeah, but Addams Family also had Angela Bassett and yeah.
But I like Angela Bassett too. Yeah, Angela. Yes.
Yeah, so it was like, is it Angela Bassett? Yeah, no. Angela Houston.
Yes.
My bad.
That's okay. Angela Bassett's a great actor too.
Yeah, they're both fantastic.
Yeah, so that's it. But that's it. So that didn't really affect me. It was just like, what are you doing? And that's sometimes what went on their head maybe didn't come out.
Yeah, they're like, well, because even Dark Shadows, the original, there may have been funny moments, but it wasn't meant to be a funny show.
No, it wasn't. But as I said, there's jokes for the fans, like because of the bloopers, it was taped live. There were a couple times like somebody's in the middle of this great speech and a fly gets on set and they have to kind of blow it away, but no, they never. I have to say, I would watch them again now, really watching it carefully, and right in the middle of all this dramatic stuff, there'd be like a painting would fall, something crashed, and I have to say, none of the actors ever lost it. They just kept going. Because I think what it was in those days, they were stage actors.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like, where else are they going to come from? There wasn't really, Marlon Brando was the one that started changing the way we moved on camera. Where if anyone doesn't know, him eating a chicken literally revolutionized acting. And you would think, what are you talking about? He's eating a chicken. Yeah, but to us, we're so desensitized by seeing real on the screen that to have someone chewing on ripping it apart, not even with a fork, he's just
That's how he ate it. Yeah, I think I meant it more as opposed to a TV actor.
But
that's what I meant. The ones who got used to TV and were doing it, but in those days, there wasn't much TV in New York City, if any, but the soap. So, and then the budget. So you had to keep going, and you couldn't make a joke. It wasn't a comedy. It wasn't like so I'm just saying those are some of the things I did notice. But and sometimes, so anyway, that would have been funny as a spoof. The Fly or this music box. Barnabas kept bringing the music box. Everybody fell in love with. And it's like, okay, does he take it back when they're not interested anymore? Does he have a whole bunch of music boxes? So that's what I mean about it. That would have been like a funny spoof, like a Rocky Horror.
Yeah. But I mean, Ava Green was in it. So, we forgive them. She's a twin. She has a twin sister.
No. Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's amazing when you find out, like, there's a lot of like even Scarlett Johansson's a twin, but she has a brother who's a fraternal twin or something. Yeah.
Bunch of fascinating.
Yeah, Vin Diesel's a twin. There's a bunch of people, but anyway, not that has anything to do with writing. But
twins well, actually, I have. They're kind of my second or third cousins, twin women, girls, women, and they're both writers, and they both write for the tween market.
See, there you go. Oh, they write like novels. They write like long form.
One of them was based on my family, but a lot of them are fiction. Yeah.
I was supposed to be a twin, but my my parents had twins, but they didn't make it. They had the SIDS, and but one of them was going to be me, but they waited years. That's why I'm really young compared to everyone else. And they were like, "We want a daughter," and so I came out. And then they were like, "All right, no more kids. We got plenty of kids. We didn't get our daughter, whatever, but they wanted a daughter, and so they tried again. And then they're like, all right, we'll use the name we were going to use, because my mom was a twin, and her brother's twin was Thomas, so I'm Thomas.
Oh, so it's sad, but it's still a lovely story. They got you. And
yeah, I mean, did they?
they got somebody special. I'm an only child, so I'm always fascinated by sibling relationships.
Oh, so you got to enjoy, like, what is parenting? I think we got it. And, oh, she's grown up.
Well, I was pretty lucky in some ways. I think as my parents were Europeans, I was brought up to be self-sufficient.
Oh,
which
yes.
I liked. It's funny. I'm very social. In fact, I get teased lovingly on Facebook. People see my posts. They go, Helene, do you ever sleep? And I say, yes, I just don't post when I take a nap. But as much as I'm out and around, and, in our business too, I'm always on. And I also take care of kids. So I'm always on. I need my quiet time, private time. And I was so happy I got to have that even as somebody younger. And I think that's where my creativity came from. The fact that I had time to myself in my own room and wrote stories and drew pictures, because I was also, that's when I started studying dance and I was performing and all that. But I always loved quiet creativity when I was by myself.
With that quiet creativity, do you need specific environment or a perfect set of circumstances to get you to write? Or are you someone who can just be like, oh, I got to write today, so it's 3:00. Let me get onto that keyboard.
Yeah, I got to learn how to do that latter part, because I've usually, I tried accountability partners. It hasn't worked. A lot of my writing came out when I was in a group and I got a prompt and a deadline. So right now, the Dark Shadows is celebrating their 60th anniversary next year.
Okay, so you got some time.
And that's my deadline. I just want to get it out. A lot of times it's having a specific prompt. I've got to learn. I don't know. You tell me. I feel like I got to learn to do that. I like being in my room, so that's fine. Yeah. Where I am now. I feel like I have to learn. Let me put it this way: to set the alarm. All right, you're going to write for an hour every day, even if nothing comes out. I don't know. What do you think? What is your advice for me when I don't have a specific prompt or a specific?
My advice is, if you don't have the habit yet, you should start the habit small. Okay. And, for me, I write every single day. Doesn't matter. Every single day. And it's always at the same time. It's after I eat dinner. I come back and I sit down and I give myself a 2-hour time block. But I don't write for 2 hours. I use that for writing time. So that's either me thinking about the story, me working on the outline, whatever the case may be. Currently, I'm working on like several books at the same time. Right. But I have the book I'm trying to get done first, and then secondary, tertiary, whatever. Right. So what I usually do is, instead of writing 2 hours at night now, I do an hour focused on the book that I'm trying to get done. And then during the day, I'll do 30 minutes on one book, 30 minutes on the next book. And then the next day, I still do the hour on the book I'm trying to get done, but I'll do 30 minutes on another book and 30 minutes on another book. And then as soon as it gets into, I have to get this book done, I'll move it into the later block. But the goal is that you shouldn't just be focused on writing. I think that's where a lot of writers get lost. They go, oh, I got to write. And then their career falls away because they're not networking. They're not marketing. They're not doing the other stuff that actually makes you money. Writing doesn't make you money, because if it did, people would pay us as we're chapping along on the keyboard. And it's just, no one knocks on the door. I heard you finish your screenplay. It doesn't happen like that. You have to get up. So my advice is, start off small. If you could do 15 minutes a day,
all right.
Yeah. Even if it's not writing, if you're just looking at the screen, you're thinking about your story, you're going over your notes. If you're trying to outline stuff, it doesn't matter. And as soon as that alarm goes off, stop. And it'll teach you, what it does to the brain is, it teaches you that this is not a scary time. Like I'm not beholden to the rest of the day. Like if I start this, I don't lose the rest of the day. Cause a lot of times we dump, like I'm just going to put 3 hours in. I'm just going to write all day today and catch up. And it's like, no, 15 minutes start off. Then when you get comfortable with that, 30 minutes and then maybe 60 minutes, but don't go more than 2 hours because you'll go nuts.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's good for me also because, as I said, I work in the other fields, and this spring and summer I have been casting nonstop, which is
great.
Yeah. And I'm finishing up one project this week, but I have August. I said, I just went to the beach yesterday. August is my time to see friends and beach and write, and that's what I wrote out. That's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna start doing that then. That's advice. Yeah.
Yeah, because even if you're writing, like, let's say you're writing 27 chapters, each chapter is about 3,000 words, give or take. That's still 81,000 words. That's a good, strong place to be with a book, and that gives you enough chapters to sort of make sense of the overarching narrative. It gives you enough time to build on characters. But the real truth is, it starts with one word. Like it doesn't matter how many words your book is, the one word. And if you don't write the second one, you'll never get to the third one. And if you don't write the third one, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little at a time.
That's how Snoopy started. Remember that? A shot rang out. A woman screamed.
And that's it. Boom.
Yes. Well, I'm going to be grabbing all these good vibes from you.
Good. I hope so. And
yes, no, I am. Me too. Yeah.
But if you're ever looking for inspiration, every Saturday and Sunday I do live at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel. I do educational writing on Saturdays, and then I'm writing a book in real time for Sunday to teach people how you do it. So I have it on the screen, and I'm talking through like the choices and why I'm outlining it this way, why I'm writing it that way. Why I did
not know that. Well, thank you. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. It's been growing, and I don't know. It's just a lot of fun to just sort of it's free, like I wish I could charge people. It always feels bad charging, so I'm just like, why don't I just do a YouTube channel? YouTube will pay me, for just having the channel.
That's what's great about YouTube, and that's a growing.
Yeah,
I think more people are watching YouTube now. Yeah. Well, thank you. I will. Yeah, I'll make a note to tune in.
Please do.
Yeah.
With that, we are getting close to the top of the hour, so I'm going to do what I do always at every single show. I ask every single guest the same question. I'm going to put it on the screen, but I will read it.
Sure.
What is one piece of advice you discovered about writing that completely changed the way you approach the writing process? Excellent. No.
Like that one? Can you read my mind? Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty good, actually.
let me just emote. I won't say any words.
So feet pics. Okay.
Basically, what you just told me.
Oh.
Seriously, I think that will change it. Yes.
All right. So time blocks.
Time blocks and it's just doing it. Because I am in that. Not that I'm a beginner, but I'm a beginner in the process of doing.
Yeah, in the long form. Yeah. Well, since we'll give you another question since that was pretty quick. Let's do one later. All right. All right. Okay. AI is rapidly changing the world, and its impact on writing is undeniable. What are your thoughts on this integration, and how do you see it shaping the future of storytelling?
Okay. I usually love inventions and new things. Oh, I have a lot
of bicycle or a car, airplanes are great.
Anything, or even just Gmail helps me the brain when I'm finishing a sentence, and then it goes when I've attached the piece and I'm about to hit send. They go, you said you were attaching the piece.
Oh,
there's no attachment there. That's fine. I hate to say, I have a lot of reservations about AI. First of all, it is driving me crazy that people are producing I'm a trivia fan, so I love like the 10 best things, what we used to do. They have that one where phrases come from.
Oh yeah.
All those things, or just the 10 actors that Hollywood loved or hated, and they're all done by AI, and they're not only monotone, but they pronounce popular names wrong. That upsets me.
Warren Booty.
Yeah. So then Ethel Merman took over. And I'm like, oh God.
Oh, merman.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it's good, and sometimes when you're Googling something and you
Yeah.
get the AI version, and it's right. I think it could be helpful, but I think knock on wood, it still needs the human brain to work with.
Yeah. Do you think writers are maybe taking too much advantage of it to write their stuff and not using it as a tool to, like, one of the things I try to teach people a more ethical way to use it, because it's here, and I say, instead of asking it how to write something, why don't you ask it what you're conveying in this passage or what you're conveying in this scene, or ask a question of analysis, and not necessarily like, can you rewrite this or can you add immersion? You go, what is happening in the scene, and what is the scene conveying for these characters, and it'll sort of tell you. And if it's wrong, you either have to be like, well, maybe AI is just stupid, or let me relook over the scene, because they're not telling me what I really want it to be. I wanted it to be about this emotion, and that's not being conveyed. So I think as a tool, it could be helpful, but I'd like to know your thoughts on, like, writers using it to write.
Well, I was going to ask you if you also meant Chat GPT, because that's something that takes your feelings. I mean, I'm even told that as an actor, when we're trying to work on branding or finding a one-line log line about ourselves, like what we play, to put everything in Chat GPT. Again, I think it's just a tool. Maybe I have, because I feel like at this age, the boomer, I like both worlds. I do like the tech world, but I also like my own mind, I think, is creative. I can see if you just really stuck on something, or if you need research.
Yeah.
But I like to think that my imagination's gonna come up with things. That's,
because it's your voice. Yeah,
it is. I mean, even for this last play that I just did at the Chain Festival, it was about two superheroes, and I didn't want to just make up stuff, because people are going to look it up going, that's not real. So I actually, started researching quasar. Is there anything that can destroy a quasar? Yes, it is. What are some of the specific skills that Marvel characters have? Who are their enemies? I really looked up. First of all, I had such a great time researching, because I love space and the galaxies and all that. But so that's where I had the AI. That's where that comes. I mean, I like it for research.
Yeah, research. Yeah, again, it's a tool. But if your characters are coming out as Bark Vent, instead of Clark Kent.
No, I mean, I feel like that's something I can think of myself.
Yeah,
that's just me. I don't really know what other writers do, or if they're using that. I think the ones that I know really, we have a brain and we can use it. But again, like anything else, a tool is to help. It shouldn't be meant to replace it. It should be an assistant.
Yeah, because even Grammarly or Quillbot, those are more for grammar and stuff. But, like, at the same time, it's going to suggest a rearrangement of the sentence.
Yeah.
And you have to say to yourself, do I agree or disagree? And if I do agree, what would I keep? What would I change? Maybe you have to rewrite it but also Grammarly will be like, this is a fragment. You can't use the fragment sentence. And in reality, in creative writing, sometimes fragment sentences, even in dialogue, if not always in dialogue.
Oh, pretty much always. Yeah.
Yeah. Is going to create what we would call rhythm or voice. Mm-hmm. So some people see Grammarly said this is wrong. So I just accepted it. So, like, it may not be full AI per se, it might be not the Chat GTP, but, like, at the same time, like, you still need to make choices as an author, as a writer. You can't just be like, well, dude, Grammarly said,
exactly.
If it's then and then.
Yourself using the word, wow, this is really great. He's really great. I go, okay, I got to think of another word than great. I guess I'm going to be looking up that if I feel particularly like I'm stuck.
Yeah, but you could also go, what is that really great website for words? It's called Word Hippo.
Oh, okay. I just put synonym for this and I get a whole list. But what is
Word
it
hip
called?
word hippo. It's a really great
Yes, hippopotamus.
yeah, hippopotamus.
Yeah, right. Hey, hi.
Yeah. So word hippo. And basically what you do is you can put a word in there and then it just gives you not only like variations of choices, but the subtext of that word or that meaning. And then it also puts it in sentences. So it plays with it in a way where like you can figure out if it makes sense for you.
Fancy dictionary. Yeah.
Yeah, basically what it is it just organizes everything into a thesaurus, but like, at the same time.
No, that sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really good tool, and I do recommend it. But with that, how do people find you?
Oh, I'm all over the place. I once told that to a security guard when I didn't have my ID years ago. I go, you can Google me. It's me. Okay, I'm on Facebook. I have my own profile, Helene Galek. Okay, I'm going to say I have a website, except I'm going to need in a few weeks. I'm going to have to. One of my to-do is to update it, but you can see some of my writing on it.
And that's a .org, right?
It's the HeleneGalek.org.
Yeah.
And I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. I don't have too many TikTok videos, but a little presence there.
Okay. Yeah. And for anyone who's watching this on YouTube, you could look right in the description and you'll see that there's a link to her website. And of course, do you have anything coming up you want to promote or anything? You'd be like, hey, check this out.
Yes, I do actually. The Chain Theater also has a film festival, and next month, mid-August, there was a indie webisodes that I worked on. That's going to be a series. So the first two got into the Chain Film Festival.
Wow!
And so that's coming up, which is great. And then at the end of September, I will be shooting a full-length film. I have a fun supporting character. I'm really good at playing, the drunk, the funny, the clueless. I get to be a disgruntled drug addict. So I kind of like that.
I'm also typecast as the ugly guy. So it works.
No, you are so handsome. Stop it. I have a thing for guy with beards. What can I say?
I just trimmed it for the library.
I noticed it's very neat, but it's all good.
All right, my dear friend, let's call it a day. Yes. So yes, thanks for coming on and joining me for this little chit of a chat.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And maybe we can do a check-in in 6 months and see if I've kept my word.
Yeah, look, I'm always around for my friends. You got to remember, if you reach out to me, you get instant response.
No, I saw that. I did see that. Yes, I went on this show to see. Gee, is Thomas working? Is his methods working? And I can say yes. Yeah. We just talked, and 6 months later, I'm doing this,
making things happen.
I appreciate everything.
All right, excelente. To everyone out there, as always, I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. This is The Right Mindset. And, keep developing the right mindset. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.